I was misdiagnosed with lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, cardiac issues. I did not want to wake up the next morning. I was ready to go. I was done. I just wanted to die. I was having flashbacks of my mom's suicide attempts, my suicide attempts, my son's suicide attempts. So all I grew up with was suicide and darkness. My mom was ready to die last year and I did not give two shits. I wouldn't have done a damn thing. I would have gone to her grave and I would have been like, bye. Hand to God. Hand to God, I despise that woman. I had to have that makeup on. I mean, I had that mask on. The more makeup I wore, people wouldn't see those demons behind my eyes that I was living in hell all my life. So I had to look perfect. If you do not recognize and acknowledge your trauma and get rid of it in your body, you will be misdiagnosed with rheumatoid, lupus, whatever it is. Because once I started healing my trauma, the diseases started disappearing, the symptoms disappearing. No more joint pain, no more tired, no more fatigue, no more just feeling horrible. I was on blood pressure pills. I could not get out of bed without my blood pressure going to stroke level, very, very high. To the next morning, I popped out of bed and it was like 100/70. So radical remission. Fourth, I had my near-death experience and everything I thought I knew about life, I was wrong. And it opened my eyes. I'm living for the very first time out of prison, that, limiting belief prison in your head that we all have. And I'm seeing life for the very first time. And yeah, so God, at 55, God was like, yeah, it's your turn to be happy. Ease and flow everywhere you go. 2023, all about me. Join me in that, because we need to get selfish. We need to get selfish and fill our cups first, and then we can serve others.
Let your light shine. Help others find their way out of the darkness. Extraordinarily inspiring stories from ordinary people like you and I.
You scheduled a meeting and then I went to read your story. I feel somehow I knew you, how you transformed and you had a new heart. First of all, I was quite curious about the implants, the breast implants. What was that story?
My implants almost killed me. I had them for 17 years. And the saddest part is when I heard about breast implant illness, thanks to my sister, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, before I was misdiagnosed with lupus, I said to my primary, I've got all these symptoms. Nah, it's not real. And I trusted him. So looking back now, I should have trusted my gut. But obviously I was meant to tell this story, but 1000% my symptoms started to the day 4 months after I got my implants in Omaha. I went from being like this, very vibrant. I was depressed to where I could not get out of bed in the mornings. My kids would go to school. I would go back in bed, sleep for 7 hours. They would come home. I would do the whole dinner, the homework, the mommy stuff, and go back to sleep. And I hid that from everyone.
All the chemicals inside, or?
And the chemicals inside of implants are insane. And I chose saline, which is supposedly the safer option. No matter what foreign body you put into your body, there is no safer option. It's still a foreign body. But I did my research. I'm a nurse. That's what we do. I want to see the evidence. And unfortunately, I heard saline was the safer option and there weren't problems. Looking back now, all the work that people have done to raise awareness, the FDA is now black boxing everything with the implants. So a lot of changes have been made, but yeah, I never ever would have believed it if I didn't live through it. Christina Hall, the girl on HGTV, she posted an article that someone sent me and said, I think my implants are killing me. Does anyone have any advice? And I'm like, yes, they're your implant. Get them out, please. Like, I've been on the news trying to share my story because women don't know. They're trusting their doctors. I was misdiagnosed with lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, cardiac issues. The minute my implants are removed, I'm fine. That's not a coincidence anymore. That's my implants.
Okay. So you find a correlation?
I have video. I document everything. I have videos from before and after, and the color of my skin is different. I'm glowing.
And how did you got misdiagnosed?
Unfortunately, breast implant illness mimics the same symptoms as lupus and any other autoimmune condition. So I went to see a lot of different rheumatologists because no one could find anything wrong with me. And they just labeled me with lupus, and I started taking medications for it.
Okay. So you don't really have any of those autoimmune?
Nope. I'm in remission from everything, even mast cell activation disease, which is another condition. It was all stemmed from my unresolved trauma from my childhood, which I wrote about a year ago in my book. I knew it was my trauma.
Okay. In what way? Which part of the trauma?
The body keeps the score. My body was holding on to all my trauma that I never processed from my childhood.
Okay. Can you elaborate on the childhood trauma?
I've survived sexual abuse, abandonment issues. I was raised by the Las Vegas casinos. My mom was in a mental hospital from early on. I've watched her attempt suicide. I mean, it just got worse and worse and worse. And I never told anyone until my body got to the point 4 years ago where it shut down. My body had too much stress. Every organ was shutting down. I needed 24/7 care. I mean, it was really, really scary.
You think all of that because of your childhood trauma? How did you find the link?
Because once I started healing my trauma, the diseases started disappearing, the symptoms disappearing. No more joint pain, no more tired, no more fatigue, no more just feeling horrible. So 1000%, it was my trauma.
Okay. So you said once you start working on your healing, what were you like? Like you said about you couldn't get out of bed.
I was very depressed. So I've been in intense trauma therapy for 2.5 years. I was seeing a therapist because my trauma was so bad. But yeah, to the point where I could not get out of bed. So I work on myself. I have to work on myself every day or I will spiral. I know my triggers now.
You said about when you found healing and then all the symptoms started to disappear. So if you share that story.
So I would probably say my Kundalini awakening, which I had a spontaneous one last year. I was shedding a lot of layers and I felt like I truly was going batshit crazy because I was ascending and I was trying to shed layers, but I didn't understand what was happening to me looking back now. Honestly, and at that moment is when I knew I had a choice. I either get better or get better. And at my lowest moment, I chose God. And at my lowest moment, I said, I surrender. And at my lowest moment is when I saw a spark, and it was enough of a spark that I was like, oh my gosh, I felt that spark again. And I got excited. And it was enough of that spark that I see every day in my head that has kept me moving forward at my lowest moments. And even now, I mean, I think I was under the assumption that you become this spiritual person and, all your woes and worries go away. I look at it so differently, but now I look at it like God never promised it would be easy, but 1000% I would do it 1,000 times again, because this connection I now have with God, it's like every step has been planted. Every step looking back, I'm like, now I understand why. So I surrendered to a God of my own understanding. And I think that's what people need to hear. It doesn't have to be in church. Don't listen to anyone else. This is your journey. Make it a sacred journey and do not share with anyone else.
How would you describe your connection with God? How do you know that you are connected with God?
As a writer, I still cannot put the magnitude of feelings in words. I would say the most magnanimous feeling of unconditional love wrapping you in the most amazing hug you've ever experienced in your entire life. So when I connect and when I get that feeling, or when I connect with my spirit team or my angels, I know I have this knowing, like Wayne Dyer says, I have this knowing, because not only do you feel limitless, you're fearless, you're unstoppable. You feel like you could take on the world, and you just don't, you see things so differently. When I'm connected to source, I see life through God's eyes.
For me, how I describe it, very similar to what you just said, that I feel I can do anything, be anyone, there's no limit. The other thing I find for me is that when I feel touched, tear of joy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I cry all the time, and everything is beautiful. My body tingles, my hands tingle. I feel like the vibration, I feel the energy in my body tingling. It's such a whole visceral experience. Like every organ, every cell truly are on fire. If you can't understand on a vibrational energy frequency, you're going to be like, you're crazy. But the minute as you just know.
Yeah, no, I totally. So I actually do go to church. I don't believe you have to go to a church to feel that, like what you just said. The reason I go to church, because I love that feeling, that community, and this podcast, Let Your Light Shine. And I've actually been inspired by, we call a testimony Sunday. So once a month, we have a Sunday that's everybody just goes up and then share the testimony of how they feel God's love and how their lives been changed, how their heart's been changed. And very similar to what you're sharing your story. And then when I go there and I feel that, and then not even testimony Sunday, last 2 weeks, people just sharing their stories, just everyday people. And then I was weeping the whole way, and there's nothing. And then the lady sat next to me was giving me a big hug and saying, oh, whatever you're going through. I wasn't going through anything. I was just feeling that, you understand, for people
The love.
Yeah, that's exactly. So
you're filling your cup. You're filling your cup.
Exactly. So for me, it's that tear of joy straight away. I notice, and I often tell my daughter, she's 8, and then I say, people share their stories or their testimony, they're crying, they're not really sad. Some people might, because they have been through some challenges and then they experience their love. But most people really because they feel so touched. So that's exactly your feeling. I guess for a lot of people who might not have had this experience, might be a bit hard to imagine what do you mean, love and things. So for me, it's just that tear of joy.
My business partner and I call it sublime bliss.
Oh, that's so beautiful. You didn't believe in God, did you? No. Okay. So that means it's possible for everybody. I didn't believe in God either. I grew up in China, which is all me. I believe in me, myself, and I. So I wasn't religious, I wasn't spiritual, nothing. But my grandpa was Buddhist. Well, not Buddhist. He believed in being kind, do unto others what you want to be done.
Compassion.
Yeah, it's all the kindness and all the things. It is wonderful. He definitely has impacted me so much, but I didn't believe in God. So there's definitely hope for you and I, and we didn't believe in God, and we feel that. So can you share the stories of what was like? What was your life like? How did you look at God, or when other people say God, higher power, universe, what were you thinking?
I grew up Jewish. And then when I was 9 years old, that's when the true tragedy started, and I moved to Las Vegas. The only memory I have of growing up was Santa Claus, and believing that Santa Claus didn't love me because I was Jewish. We never had a tree, but back then I didn't understand. And then I had some horrible, awful things happen to me from the years of 9 to 13 that caused me to disassociate and disconnect. I did not believe in God after that. It wasn't until I got married. I was very, very young with my first marriage, that I wanted to get married into church because I felt called that something was missing. And I tried. My ex-husband and I got married in a Presbyterian church. We even had a rabbi. We dialed like 1-800 rabbi. Will you come with us and marry us in the church? So I was honoring my ex-husband's family. And I tried I tried the whole Jesus route. I tried church. I tried everything. It just never worked for me. And then before COVID hit, I actually, in 2018, I had kind of a near death experience where I asked God to take me. I did not want to wake up the next morning. I was ready to go. I was done. I just wanted to die. I truly didn't want to die, but I was done with the pain. And so I had a miracle happen that night, and I decided I'm going to church. So this started me going to a big mega church like you. The minute I walked in, the music sang to me, my heart exploded, and I was like, I don't know what's happening here, but this music is calling me. I felt that unbelievable unconditional love feeling. And I tried every Saturday night. I went to church, and I felt more judged going in than coming out. And I wasn't understanding what I was doing wrong. And then COVID hit, and I had no choice but to truly be by myself because I couldn't see any of my friends. I'm a very social butterfly. And then I started down, I got a couple of signs to start going down the God path, just curiosity. I became a little more intrigued about the law of attraction, learning about the law of attraction, just energy healing. And then last year on April 24th, I had my near-death experience, and everything I thought I knew about life, I was wrong. And it opened my eyes. God showed me we're all one. I will never go against anyone. I mean, I know my truth. Like, I know my truth. God is real. He loves all of us. He's magical. He has a major sense of humor. I mean, look what he did to my life. You know, I do. I say I'm the queen of the hot messes because I'm like, you truly do find the one lost the most. So after my NDE, I could not go back to work. I was having anaphylactic reactions 7-8 times a day. I had to leave my house. I was again in critical. I was in bad shape. And I started going into the forest, and the trees started talking to me, the angels, the animals. I don't know what the hell happened to me. And let's just say I got baptized in the forest because I came out a completely different person than even yesterday. I'm more spiritual today than I was yesterday. Like, my love for life, my heart chakra, it just overflows with rainbows and colors, and I'm seeing life for the very first time. And yeah, so God, at 55, God was like, yeah, it's your turn to be happy.
I love that feeling. That's very much like myself, feeling a lot of time, not all the time, but a lot of time. And I have very similar experience of hugging trees.
I love to hug trees.
You mentioned that you want God to take you. You didn't want to live another day. What happened?
I was disabled. I was lying in bed. I was very, very clinically depressed, and I was refused to take any sort of medication. You know, I'd been on that shit. I'd been on all that shit. I didn't want any more numbing my pain. So I was feeling for the very first time, and the pain I was feeling was too much. And I did not want to feel the pain because I knew what happened to me as a child. I just wanted to admit that it happened to me. Like, I didn't want to be that girl. And I couldn't take the pain anymore. I was having flashbacks of my mom's suicide attempts, my suicide attempts, my son's suicide attempts. So all I grew up with was suicide and darkness. My sister's, my stepsister's suicide. Like, that's all I knew as a child. So I was done. I couldn't walk. I was bedridden, and I just wanted to die. I wanted to die.
That was all because of the implants?
No, that was all that so the implants caused a lot of the trauma, all the physical manifestation symptoms. My subconscious, because of all the trauma, that's all my body is known is fight or flight trauma. My nervous system was jacked, and it was manifesting in every organ. So my implants, my trauma, if you haven't read The Body Keeps the Score, that book will show you what trauma will do to your body. Stress is the #1 contributor to disease. If you do not recognize and acknowledge your trauma and get rid of it in your body, you will be misdiagnosed with rheumatoid, lupus, whatever it is. It's insane.
So when you said trauma, it's not just like big, for example, maybe
Death of a child, death,
yeah,
divorce, any sort of trauma. I'm talking when you were bullied in 6th grade and someone said you're ugly. You will be triggered. And if you do not figure out why you get so triggered, that's why you have to do the deep internal work. And it's all done subconsciously. So I had to train my brain subconsciously while I slept, because I'm like, I don't understand what I have to heal. I did my trauma was so bad that last year I was diagnosed with dissociative amnesia. And so now my memory's starting to slowly come back. So it's very therapeutic for me to share my story. I'm not doing this for anyone. It's like, oh, what am I going to get out of sharing my story? People need to know that your trauma will mess you up if you do not deal with it.
yeah, those
Moving.
kind of things. But I didn't realize until my friends and we start exploring, and then I realized, okay, yeah, so I had some, and then I recognized some, and then which is really small things like what you
Right.
just said, and
It
then
adds up.
yeah, and then I know that so many of us, pretty much all, we have some sort, right, small,
All of us.
yeah. So
All of us.
what have you been doing? So you've been meditating.
I actually practice mindfulness more than meditation. I live in the moment all the time. I ground myself. I constantly live my life. I trust God. I've got unwavering faith. I live in the moment. I've got a toolbox of things that when I'm going along life, ease and flow, and something hits me, I'm like, all right, what am I learning here? What is this, like Wayne teaches? What is this trying to teach me? So, I had to find out what works for me. And I need to tell people, it doesn't matter if it works for 7,000 people. You have to find out what works for your body. Our healing journeys are so, so different.
Absolutely. I feel like I always wanted to put my hands on my heart, because whatever you said, and it just like, that's what I say all the time. It doesn't matter what other people are going through, what journey they're on. It's our journey. And then
Our journey.
and then the connection is our individual, our personal connection with God or whatever.
Yes.
I could just feel that energy, and that you have experienced that, and then you really want to share
Yeah.
your joy, the peace that you have experienced. That's so beautiful. So was it a step-by-step process, or you had that experience and you realize, okay, now I'm connected with God, and then you pretty much healed?
I went into a radical remission the night of my NDE, which means night and day. I was on blood pressure pills. I could not get out of bed without my blood pressure going to stroke level, very, very high. To the next morning, I popped out of bed and it was like 100/70. So radical remission. Before my NDE, and every time I was hit with something, I would go into it like, are you friggin' kidding me? Like I could not catch a break. I couldn't catch a break. And then I kept manifesting because I'm like, oh my God, I kept expecting bad things to happen because that's all I've ever known. So I had no clue what was happening. So I couldn't put the pieces together. I'm very, very stubborn. Again, that's a trauma response. I don't ask anyone for help. I do this by myself. So when I had my NDE and God showed me, he literally showed every puzzle piece. I had the big puzzle in the sky. This goes here. That's why you had to have this trauma. This goes here. That's why you had that trauma. But he gave me the tools moving forward the night of my NDE. When I woke up and I shook my husband and I'm like, I'm going to heal. And he's like, you're half dead. I'm like, no, God's going to heal me. This was 20 months ago. So ever since my NDE, as long as I stay aligned with my heart, the steps are planted. But unfortunately, I was processing 45 years of horrible trauma. My wires get crossed, I get confused, and I forget a lot. But as long as I stay aligned, my path is lit. Like my path is so lit. It's like, whoo, I need some shades. And I love it though, because I'm living for the very first time out of prison, that, limiting belief prison in your head that we all have.
Yeah, I love that word, prison. Yeah, it's really the freedom when we find, oh wow, I don't have to live in that box. Then we're free.
Stomp on that shit.
And particularly, I guess the imprisonment of our mind, right?
Horrible.
Yeah, it's
Horrible. Yeah.
and then all the negative thoughts, and then you mentioned a few times of NDE. How can you share that story? And then I remember you said something about your daughter. She was screaming, and then that's the time that you decided you want to leave rather than I just want to die.
Well, 4 years ago, when I had my first, when I wanted God to take me, that's ever since then, I have not wanted, I knew as bad as I would get, God was going to lift me back up. So I haven't had that feeling since. But the night of my NDE, my Facebook group broke up. I've been an admin for 2.5 years, teaching people. I'm a nurse. I'm a teacher. You know how to heal autoimmune naturally, but kind of doing it on the side as a hobby. The day of my NDE, that group broke up, and I was beyond devastated. And I still get triggered. I still have triggers because of that. And I couldn't talk anymore. And Kenny called my daughter, and she was drinking, and she couldn't come and see me. And she was hysterical. And those are the sounds that I wrote about in the book. Like, that'll haunt me the rest of my life, because I'm like, I am never going to see her again. But yet I was not afraid. Now I know why. I was not afraid. And I went to bed and I said to my husband, if anything happens to me, get my journals out there. He's like, why? I'm like, just do it. Just do it. Like, no one wanted to honor that I was dying. No one would honor, are you scared? I went to bed at peace that night. I woke up about 3:00 in the morning. I knew I was with God. I had that amazing feeling of unconditional love wash over me that I know is my angels and God. And I asked every question I could, and he answered. He told me what people to bring back into my life, with his shocking 20 months later. I'm like, damn, he was right. Because I'm like, why would I bring these people back? Like, I'm like a one and done. You disrespect me, we're done here. I will never think of you again. And I'm like, no. But it was more people, because I ghosted because of my trauma. Remember, I fight alone. This is alone. I do this alone. He also said I have to forgive my mother. For 45 years, I despised that woman. I blamed her for everything in my entire life. He instantly took the shame away. And just told me what I'm supposed to do the rest of my life. And I did not believe it. But now, 20 months later, looking at every step I took to get here, there's no doubt in my mind I could say that was a dream. Because after my NDE, I was like, that was the best, most magical dream I've ever had in my entire life.
With the forgiveness side, I know people who have a very similar kind of experience, and then they just say, I can't forgive. I don't want to even talk about this person.
That was me.
What did you do? How did you switch?
For me, I had to feel what it was like to walk in her shoes. The minute I was able to take my ego out, totally out of the picture, and sit and listen to why she did the things she did, I was able to see it from a different perspective. And that took all the strength I had, because I hated that woman. Okay. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about forgiving us, because I had to write letters. My mom was ready to die last year, and I did not give two shits. I wouldn't have done a damn thing. I would have gone to her grave, and I would have been like, bye. Hand to God. I despised that woman. So when I had to forgive her, my heart was blocked. My heart chakra was blocked. Number one, by the implants, and number two, by trauma as well. Everything was stored in my heart was extremely broken. But yeah, I actually also did. I don't know if you know about the Ho'oponopono. Do you know that? The Hawaiian. I had to do that a lot. I had to write letters. I had to give myself permission to forgive myself. And as soon as I planted that seed, I knew what I had to do next.
So that was a process, like through a period of time, not just today you had the NDE and then tomorrow you forgive. Like, Wayne Dyer, he shared his experience. He pretty much just in instant, like once he did all the things that he wanted to say, and then then
So my shame, yes, my shame and forgiveness for my mom, that was instant. Like I did not feel after my NDE talking about like my sobriety or the issues that I had there, like my shame was gone. So I can talk freely about it. My forgiveness journey, the shame is gone. That's why I could talk freely about it. But I had to make the conscious effort to heal that deepest wound in my heart. It's not easy, but God took that shame away the night of my NDE. I had so much damage that I'm assuming that's why I had to have my NDE, because I never would have understood this. And my mom would have died and I would have been like, but I'm meant to teach this. I'm meant to teach this, obviously.
Wow. I was actually sharing with my daughter, and we are discussing, because we had a play date and someone was not very nice and damaged her favorite things. And then she was just wanting to tell the dad and the other person's dad and saying what happened. And I said, and I told her stories about how forgiveness, it's really not because the other person deserves forgiveness. It's you deserve
Right.
peace, like what you said. It's really for yourself.
It is. It's all for us.
It's nice to forgive other people, to be kind, but more so you're going to be kind to yourself. So by holding on to that unhappiness or resentment, you're really hurting yourself. I've talked to a lot of people, but then it's she said, oh, I just can't. It's like kids, right? I want to cry. I can't stop it.
Right.
It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel. And then I say, I normally journal, write it down, and
Love to.
yeah, or talk about it. It's like what you said about you talk about it, and then you
talk about it.
And then I pray very similar to yours.
Forgiving someone, I understand that, but I think people understand you don't have to forget. You don't have to break bread with them. You don't even have to talk to them ever again. Like you can say, I forgive you, but for my mental health, I have to forget you. And to me, that is the most therapeutic thing in the world and the best thing I do for self-love. Forget, forgive, but I do not need family, friends, whomever, it doesn't matter. But for me, my deepest wound was my mother. I was never able to get love from anyone until I knew my mom truly loved me and didn't abandon me when I was 9 years old.
What did she do?
Tried killing me, tried attempting suicide. Oh yeah, my mom, when we moved out to Las Vegas, my mom ended up in the loony bin because her boyfriend found out about the new man she was cheating with, burnt our house down and threatened our lives. So that was at 9 years old. So when we moved to Vegas, my mom had a mental breakdown, understandably. And that's when my stepfather started abusing me, my stepsister, and my best friend's brother. I blocked it all out. So my mom ended up in the mental hospital. My mom is not bipolar. If my mom dealt with her trauma, she'd be off all meds as well.
That's hilarious.
That ain't even a quarter of it. I seriously, my girlfriends are like, their eyeballs pop out of their head. They're like, how are you not a serial killer?
Actually, how? Why not? How?
Because my heart is so beautiful, because that's why God gave me a dissociative amnesia. Because if I would have witnessed and I would have remembered, I 1000% would have taken my own life. I could not live with the pain. So he numbed my pain until I was physically safe enough and ready. You have to be ready to heal. You have to be. Even if to take one step, you have to at least have a little bit of, I'm ready. And gave me my husband, who I feel safe. So I was at a point where I was ready to heal. I told God, yes, I'm surrendering whatever I need to do moving forward. Yeah, I numbed it. My spirit never died. Like my heart, even though it was frozen, my heart is so pure. Like I have a beautiful, I love my heart.
That's, my goodness. How your mom passed away, or she's still alive?
No, my mom's now my best friend. I talk to her every day.
Oh, sorry. I heard you say something about you.
Last year, she was really sick.
Okay. So she's fine. Okay, that's good. So how, and then you talk and then you share everything and then you can openly discuss everything.
She has filled in so many blanks for me. I numbed everything for 45 years. I disassociated with every addiction possible. It was crazy. I just numbed. So she's filling in the blanks for me, and it's also healing her as well. She's never spoke to a therapist ever. All I want to do is throw meds and label her. So she's getting it out. So we're healing each other. Like both of us are growing and evolving together. Every morning I can't wait. I'm like, I get the phone call. Hi, Princess, it's mommy. And I'm like, I just turned 55 years old. And I'm like, I can't wait to talk to my mommy.
It's
It's a beautiful, I never knew I could feel this fulfilled. And the deepest wound was my mom's.
Okay. So what did you or what did you learn from your mom's, maybe her childhood, or what happened to her?
No wonder she was that way.
Okay. So
My grandparents that raised me are Holocaust survivors. So that tells you enough right there.
yeah.
And
So-
my nanny, God bless her, she, if it wasn't for my nanny and Poppy, that's who I get my heart from. They never discussed. So I grew up never discussing. And I'm like, my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. They never complained. I am not about to complain about joint pain, So I learned that. I learned to be strong, but unfortunately it made me too strong because I don't know how to ask for help. I don't know how to say I'm hurting. I'll be that girl at the last moment, be like, nope. So I learned that. She is my hero. She's the strongest woman I've ever met. She never shared her story with anyone, and now it makes perfect sense why she's so sick.
Okay, that all makes sense.
All makes sense. Body keeps the score.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And then you, in particular, what your mom been through, right? And then I often say, hurt people. If she was all good and loving, kind, like with yourself now, I wouldn't imagine you want to hurt anybody.
You can't. I can't. And this started after my NDE, when my inner child came out, and I've been reparenting her and healing her. I can't even watch an animal, like a little ant, eat a snail on TV. I'm like, I can't. I truly do see life through God's eyes. I hate to say that, but it's no different than Carl Jung and Wayne. Yeah. God's in us. And I think for me, I embody that. I'm not just tipping my toes in the water. I'm like, I embody this now. Like, this is who I am.
For whoever listens, right, is you already explained who you were before and who you are now. And then I'm the same. So that means it's possible for everybody.
Everyone.
Not the famous, not the rich. So it is for everybody. Everybody can. So for you, really, the connection with God, for me, the same. You said about mindfulness and meditation. You said mindfulness is a little bit different.
And for me, that just means I'm aware of taste, touch, smell, hearing, everything right in front of me. Tangibly, I could feel, see, touch everything. So when I practice that, it just means I stay in the moment more. Versus meditation, first thing I do when I wake up in the morning and I'm still in a theta state of mind, I put on a meditation, and that just gets me in that vibration, that calming vibration. And that's how I start my day. But I incorporate mindfulness throughout the day. So I start with meditation. I end my day in meditation because I'm not going to take the shit from today into tomorrow. So I'm done with that. So I clear my mind at the end of the day through meditation, listen to something, I retrain my subconscious overnight. And then first thing in the morning, I wake up, I put on another 10-minute video. And that's how that's a routine now. Now that it's become a habit, but in the beginning, I had to force myself, listen for 30 seconds, listen for a minute. I couldn't meditate. I needed meditation for dummies 2 years ago. I'm now teaching this. I'm like, you sure about this one?
Wow.
But obviously.
Yeah, again, it's for everybody. And you couldn't imagine 2 years ago. I couldn't
No.
imagine a few years ago either. And then that really for everybody, whoever think, oh, that's just for you, Stacey. It's not. It's really for everybody. Everybody have the access to that. Or I think Linda mentioned inner wisdom, and me is really God.
Yes.
And I think you mentioned also God that lives within me.
Within us. But don't listen to other people. Like for me, you have to sit up. No, I was lying down, kicking my feet up, just I don't know what I'm doing. And 30 seconds, I started with 30 seconds. And then I'm like, oh, I didn't hear a thought for 30 seconds. So I'm like, let me try a minute. You have to be consistent. I hate that cliche, oh, if I did it, anyone can. But truly, God found the biggest lunatic in the world who was like, this shit is not real. And now I'm like, this shit is real. And please don't ask me to explain it.
Oh, wow. I love that. That's it, exactly. That's why I love talking, connecting with people and sharing their stories, because one person's stories and only some people will resonate, right? And then when people going through what you've been through, then they
Yeah.
can hear your story. Wow, that is possible for me.
Anything's possible. Impossible. I am possible. Change the
Oh,
narrative.
why do bad things happen to good people? Because that's a lot of people asking and talking about, why do bad things happen to good people? They seem to be good people, and everyone has a different interpretation. I love what you said. There are some things I never question anymore. I had a near-death experience, and then I no longer ask why.
I
Why not?
don't. That's always the question. I came out recently with, mediumship skills. I was given magical gifts. And that's the first thing people ask me. And it's like, again, it's a knowing, because the minute you understand this vibration, that unconditional love, high frequency of connection with source, you no longer question why. You just don't, because you understand. You just understand. So people that are like, going into this like so closed-minded, you're automatically starting with the closed-minded because you're not opening up to believe. But and truly 1000%, we are not supposed to know the how. Be curious 1000%. 1000% be curious. But truly, the way I'm looking at it now, God, it's all about the journey. Don't worry where you're going. Who gives a shit? We're not going to friggin' remember. Like now, focus on what is happening now. Find 3 things to be grateful now, because tomorrow, God forbid it's all taken away, you're going to be wishing you had those 3 things that you had the day before. Gratitude now, right now.
I also stopped asking why. And the past was, why does this thing happen? And then once I stop asking those questions, again, like the same thing as you, I stop asking, how can I do these things?
Yeah.
And is let it happen, let it come. And then I'm doing me and do my thing. I serve others. I go inward is
Yes.
to be mindful, and then I go outward to serve. And everything just happens.
I love that. My favorite mantra is ease and flow everywhere I go.
Oh.
And so this way, when I get knocked down, because it happens all the time, I'm like, God darn it, ease and flow everywhere I go. All right, back up. Ease and flow everywhere I go.
Oh, so beautiful. I love it. And I actually don't normally go through these questions, but I love your answers. I'm actually going to read them.
Of course.
How do you define success in life? You said inner peace, joy, and unconditional love. You said at my heart chakra. If my heart chakra is in alignment, I'm successful because I choose love over fear. I'm now going out to serve the Chinese community. I feel that's my calling. Actually, I say I'm a bridge, the Western and Eastern.
Same.
I feel in the Eastern, in particular in the Chinese culture, or in the Western world, the same. Success is how much money you have, how famous you are, what power you have. In general, not seeing everybody. And then things I feel it's shifting. And there's more and more people are aware it's not just money and not just power, not just what you have. But I'm just generalize. So in the Eastern culture, or in China in particular, there's whoever has the money has the power, or whoever has the power has the money. So how do you explain to that it's all about love, all about joy, all about inner peace?
Well, number one, if you don't have health, you got nothing. So people that lose their health, that have hit rock bottom, those are the people that truly define success. Completely different for me. Knowing who you are and what you are meant to do in this lifetime, regardless of what it looks to anyone else, that is success. You are here for a reason. Too many people are too afraid to say what they're truly here for. A lot of people don't know what they're here. It usually takes rock bottom. It usually takes a divorce, a tragedy, something to happen to realize, oh my God, money is not the key to everything. Not only did I come for Western medicine, Western society, I had the money, I had the $1 million house, I had it all. I was privileged. I was very, very privileged. Don't get me wrong. Money truly helps everything. It truly, truly does. But to me, if you are truly happy in your heart, you're not going to look at that $1,000 handbag the same. You're just not.
I call it abundance more than just money. Abundance.
I love abundance. The word abundance. Yeah. Prosperous.
I feel when we serve, everything for me, everything just flows back. Actually, I look at it as everything is already there. I went to look for the strawberries and open the fridge, the strawberry right in front of me. I look up, look down, look left, look right. Didn't look at the right in front of my eyes. So that's what I call it. It's already there. It's I feel when I'm connected with God, when I'm serving others, my eyes open, my heart open, my mind, and then everything comes. Well, because they're already there. It's just for me to see, for things to be manifested.
You're open to receive it.
That's it. Exactly. So I call abundances because I feel when we are aligned, when we serve and all just come, it's not really we go out and look or we have to fight for it. I think you said somewhere or wrote somewhere about perfection. I wrote down perfectionist. So you wanted to be looking perfect or before you could do anything. And share about that story.
So I was the ugly duckling in middle school. I was the ugly one in high school. I never thought I was pretty. And then after I graduated from high school, I moved out to LA, grew up real fast, dating a 25-year-old. And I started getting not ugly. I started, becoming more confident. He boosted my confidence. And then I realized, it's terrible to say, but being raised Jewish, I was always told you're just going to marry a Jewish doctor and make reservations. I know that's a terrible stereotype, but again, this is my story to tell. So after I met Zach, I got a taste of this lifestyle and I started looking better. And I noticed the more better I looked, the more attention I would get. And so then I met my first husband, who was literally like Prince Charming, family, very, very wealthy. So I started realizing I was told I would never be good enough. And I was never thin enough. I never felt pretty enough. There were a lot of wounds I was, harping on back then. And I just was never good enough. My ex-husband, we had an incident where he called me average, and that did it for me. I always had to be perfect, the right makeup, because I was like, someone has to pay attention to me. So yeah, I had to have that makeup on. I mean, I had that mask on. The more makeup I wore, people wouldn't see those demons behind my eyes that I was living in hell all my life. So I had to look perfect.
It's really the insecurity inside of us. And that makes us wanting to look, okay, I'm looking beautiful and perfect outside. How did you get over that actually?
Self-love. I actually, this is my shrine to Stacey. I put up a vision board, and these are all pictures of me with no makeup on. Therapy, I did therapy as well, EMDR therapy, to disassociate and realize that that little girl that was so abandoned is just calling out for help. So once I started acknowledging her, really working on self-love and telling myself I am beautiful just the way I am. It's okay that the scale doesn't say a certain number. Again, I did the work. It took every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears I had. But yeah, self-love, extra kindness, extra compassion for myself. I had to forgive myself, just like we were talking, earlier. I had to say, Stacey, I forgive you. And then the steps were planted. But again, I chose to do the deep work. I wanted to know why. Why am I triggered when so-and-so pisses me off? I don't want to be that triggered person anymore. I mean, but I'm giving myself grace. I'm also, understanding that I am human. Sometimes I forget. I feel like a superhero most days. I'm just being kinder, more compassionate. You did a great job today, Stace.
Was it harder for you to forgive yourself than forgiving others? Yeah.
Hell yes. Ah, I forget. Oh gosh, yes. It took all the strength I had, because I do not like vulnerability. I know no one does, but there are times I'd rather chew off my right arm. When I had to forgive seriously, I am, oh God, I'm like the queen of self-sabotage. I'm the queen of all the shits, everything. But yeah, it was very, very hard to forgive myself, because that meant acknowledging it, and that meant it happened. But the minute I did it, and the minute I cried and let it all go and realized you were a child, whew, game changer.
And you are not alone. A lot of people are like that, especially perfectionists.
Now I see that, but I never would have come out as like a perfectionist. But now I'm realizing, oh, bitch, you were that and all that in a bag of chips. Like I was a lot. But I'm aware now. I'm consciously aware. I could see it. And that's because I healed. I did the work. It's very rewarding on the other side. It wasn't more so what other people said about my healing. It was me like, oh yeah, judging myself was the hardest thing in the world. But the Oponopono, I was like, I'm sorry, I forgave it. I mean, that took, I can't tell you how many months that took. I'm looking at myself in the mirror saying, you're full of shit, but I love you.
I love your language. Do you know how I'm generally a very, I use very clean language. But I love how your energy is different. And I love it. You sound to me, I would say, a little bit crazy, like myself, in a different way. But just so beautiful. And that actually tells us we can be different, but we can still have a beautiful heart.
Own your shit. And love the shit out of yourself while you're at it.
Oh my gosh, I love you. How actually you were talking about your you teaching. So what are you doing now?
I'm a Reiki master. I'm also an intuitive healer. So my partner who lives in the UK, we have Golden Zen Kundalini. We offer healing sessions. We do spiritual advising. We are more mentors and teachers. We do not like to call ourselves coaches. I was a nurse for 27 years. So I bring a lot of my Western knowledge with his 20 years as a Reiki master. So we infuse that, and that's how we, help heal. I'm a Zumba instructor as well. I teach chakra dancing. So David and I also teach transcendental meditations. He's an NLP practitioner. So when we do our healing sessions, we do our meditations, we activate people. We're able to alchemize their feelings. So we've been very, very busy. It's amazing what we're doing, because I feel we're both aligned with exactly what we're supposed to be doing in this lifetime for right now.
Yeah, beautiful. How do you do the healing? Via video calls or
via Zoom? We do everything via Zoom. He lives in the UK, and the fireworks are like, the energy is like in the room. You could like cut the energy. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay.
And I did a healing on him, and that's how we aligned. He came to me for a healing session, and I ended up leaving my 2 other partners because they were just not right for me. They weren't aligned with me. And God was like, here you go. Okay.
Yeah. What kind of things do you heal?
Everything. I mean, we've had clients with addiction, PTSD, CPTSD, depression, anxiety, and we are an alternative healing modality. So we tell people, if you want to find the root cause, you come to us. So we teach people about the chakras. We teach how to unbalance. We teach people how to meditate, how to practice mindfulness, what foods to eat. We do the whole, Dave and I were talking today. We do the whole mind, body, soul connection, but we teach people about vibration. Find the root cause, learn about energy healing, and that's what we do. It's a really amazing way to look at healing. We do a lot of inner child work. Most people are so damaged from their inner child, their unresolved childhood trauma, that if you could spend the time 10 minutes a day working on your inner child, you'd be amazed at how different life is.
So with the healing still starting with physical, so people have physical diseases or illness.
Lupus, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And they come to you, and then you not just looking at the symptoms and you got these symptoms.
Everything. We go deep.
Okay.
We heal on a cellular soulful level. We take them back. We do some trans life, regression, hypnosis. We bring them back to a place because we are not meant to live a life of disease. We're supposed to be harmony, not disharmony and diseased. As you know, Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, this is what they teach. I preach this. We are supposed to be healthy. Our body is supposed to heal itself. So we show people how to unblock the crap that is holding you back. And we show people, well, because of this chakra, blah, 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 if you do this, this, and this, if you want to heal, we can show you how to get there.
And then because you were really bedridden one stage, and now you completely meds free.
Completely. I don't even take supplements. I don't even want to take a Tylenol. If I have a headache, I take some kyanite. I put it on my third eye. I meditate. I'm a Reiki master, so I know how to get my body in a state where my body's own chemicals are pain relievers. Some of our clients say that years of therapy hasn't been able to unblock what we've blocked.
Okay. So you do group sessions or one-on-one?
We do both. We're building a community right now because we truly believe if we could all heal our inner child together as a collective, it would have that ripple effect. David and I prefer, we do have one-on-one, but we do prefer group because people truly open up and there's more healing when someone's walked in your shoes. To me, that is where, like you said earlier, that is where the true healing, you bond with these people. You bond with these people who are going through exactly what you're going through. So that's our intent for 2023. Build more of a local community, more of an online, more people. So many people are suffering right now and don't have options.
Totally. That's the same reason I wanted to do this podcast, is let your light shine. Like what you said, I remember you said you just saw the tiny little light and then you walk towards that light. The same thing is people are in the dark, and then when you share your light, and then people can say, oh, there's a direction, there's somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, are there anything in particular that you wish I had asked?
I really, really hope I encourage women to truly be their own advocates and take back their power. And truly, if you've got that feeling inside of you that something's not right, you're not living your best life, trust that feeling, because you are being called. If you're happy, you're happy. This is happy. You feel fulfilled. You might be happy. I wanted fulfillment. I wanted to feel fulfilled. If there's any woman out there that just wants to feel fulfilled, go inside. You'll find your way. Ease and flow everywhere you go. 2023, all about me. Join me in that, because we need to get selfish. We need to get selfish and fill our cups first. and then we can serve others.
Totally. I love that. How can people connect with you?
So goldenzenkundalini.com is my website with my partner in the UK, David. Stacey Piedrahita on Facebook. My book, Intuitive Speaking Her Truth, is on Amazon. I just signed on to do another multi-author book next year as well with a different publishing house. Golden Zen Kundalini and just Stacey Piedrahita. I love reaching out. I recently came out of the sober closet. So if there's anyone out there that is in the closet, please reach out to me. I did it alone. No woman should be so ashamed not to ask for help. So please reach out to me.
Is that drinking, you mean?
Anything, anything.
Okay.
Drugs, alcohol, food.
Let your light shine. Help others find their way out of the darkness. Extraordinarily inspiring stories from ordinary people like you and I. I believe we're all extraordinary, yet we're all ordinary. Let your light shine.